hello, hello, hello. Hello and welcome to this Final Boss Fight live stream. My name is
Hi.
John and I am joined by Angel
Hi.
and Jeff.
I'm just admiring the avatar that's on there.
I know, isn't she adorable? I love her.
And look, we can see Angel this time, and we can see Jeff, and we can hear everybody. Hopefully, I mean,
Pardon, sorry, what? Pardon?
I'm getting audio bars going up and down, so we're all good here.
I'm gonna have to see if I can get like a background for her, make her a world to live in, because she's kind of in a black void right now.
At the moment, Angel lives merely in an existenceless void. I hope to fix this at some point. Tonight, we're gonna play a little game. We're gonna play Into the Dungeon, a choose-your-own-adventure book by Harry Connor, published last year by Andrew McNeil Publishing. Available for $12.99 in the US or $17.99 in Canada.
Canada? Canada?
Canada. Canada. Or on Amazon, where I got it.
That's the best place.
It's easy to buy things on there, and they bring it to your house.
They do. It's so nice.
So, without further ado, I'll read you the intro to the book, and then there'll be a little bit more ado.
Cool.
You have heard tales of a place. A passage hidden away in the ruins of a forgotten castle. An opening that leads to a set of ancient and labyrinthian tunnels, full of terrible dangers, and for those who dare to face them, endless rewards. I'm going to move this over onto this screen, and then when I look at it, I will look at the camera more. There we go, I'm a professional. Provisions are gathered, your blade sharpened, and trying to shake the feeling of dread from the grisliest of the tales that you came across, you set out to find your way into the dungeon.
Space!
And then someone in Angel's world said, let there be light, and there were several points of light.
This is actually the image I use for my desktop background, so...
So this is a choose-your-own-adventure book. This book will tell you where to turn, and then you will turn to that page, or to be more accurate, I will turn to that page and read you what happens there.
And then if we die, we'll beg him to go back, like we're playing a game on a video game console, because...
Yeah.
You know...
Reload.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, can we go back to our last save spot? Because I don't think we did very well.
So, the first step, we need to choose whom you are going to be playing as. There are two options.
You have set characters now?
There are 4 pre-generated characters. Or you can make your own character, which you will both Jaeger. Either way, you're going to both play through and sort of Jaeger the character, much like Pacific Rim. You're both going to be piloting one body.
Aw, we can't do it as like a team? These modern ones are different. I remember the ones that I read before when I was a kid. You could have like up to 4 quote-unquote players.
No, sadly this time you are going into the dungeon alone.
That seems like really poor planning. I mean, just from, like, I'm not even a real adventurer. I'm just some idiot who plays video games on the internet. And even I think that's a bad idea, so...
I mean, I guess you can never split the party if you are the party.
I suppose.
What it is, there's a long queue outside the dungeon entrance, and it's like, one at a time, please.
I guess. It must be a small dungeon.
So, do you want to pick do you want to hear what the 4 possible options are, and then determine?
I'm happy either way, so it's up to you, Jeff.
Let's hear the 4 options.
So you have Darley Mill, the singer. Having fallen into gambling debt, Darley Mill seeks an easy path to riches and fortune. Locke, the scrapper. Used to scraping a living however possible in the hardest parts of the city, Locke thinks the dungeon can be no worse than the workhouse or a life of thievery.
He's not wrong.
Aeneas the soldier. After being demoted for refusing to follow orders, Aeneas looks to restore the once fearsome reputation and comfortable life. Or Xenophon the scholar, who seeks knowledge, gold, and ancient magic, even in the darkest of places.
I mean, he sounds the most ill-equipped to be in a dungeon.
Him or the singer? I mean, both of those guys should probably just stay at home. I'm kind of liking the warrior who wouldn't follow orders, because I feel like at some point we're going to find out that those orders were completely inhumane, and like she was all like, no, I'm not going to do that, because that's like being a dick, and I don't want to be a dick, so no. Oh shit, now I lost my job. Let's go on an adventure. Also, I feel like a warrior would have the best, like, skills required for dungeon travel, you know,
You mean like kick down the door, bash the monster, take the treasure?
Yeah.
Somebody's
like
played
a soldier
Munchkin before.
would be better equipped for that than
I don't know what you mean.
Because, I mean, a scrapper's obviously going to have at least some more experience than a singer or a scholar, but they're not going to be as well equipped for, like, a full-on dungeon trek on their own. And a warrior who's going to be like, yeah, no problem.
So you want to try starting out with Aeneas, and then if it doesn't go well, we can do maybe somebody else.
Yeah, let's see how that goes.
Yeah, that sounds good, though. The fact that John says it doesn't go as well as you think makes me think that maybe she doesn't have the stats I think she does.
I have no idea how well or poorly this is going to go. We shall see. Jeff.
Yes.
As person who I told to make sure had paper, I will read you the stats, and you can keep track of Aeneas for us.
Okay.
Aeneas has a health of 15.
Yep.
A strength of 5.
Yep.
A dexterity of 2.
Okay.
A charisma of 3.
Okay.
And an intelligence of 4.
What you're saying is they're the typical fighter.
They are a typical fighter, yes.
Also health hits like a brick, but that's about it.
So, basically, at certain points, I will tell you items that you can add to your pockets. There will be options for you to pick. There will also be times to indicate that you have lost either an item or some form of stat. Also, occasionally, things will occur if you don't have either a stat at a certain value or an item needed to bypass a thing. And so
that's
if you
usually a bad thing. Yeah, that's usually a bad
that
thing.
usually won't go well for you. But we shall start at the entrance to the dungeon. So that seems a sensible place to start.
Seems like a good place to start, yeah. I go with you on that one.
This is the place. Here at the edge of the moors stand the last ruin of what was once a castle. Huge stone blocks trace out the rooms, and spiral staircases crumble upward to nowhere. Moss and cow parsley and clover carpet the rooms and creep up the old walls, everywhere but one last doorway. The stone arch remains intact and free of the ivy and lichen that coat the other stones, if only the rain dare touch it. As if only the rain dare touch it. A well-trodden track winds through the ruins to the archway, beyond which thick stone steps, bowed in the centre from years of footfall, descend downward into a dark passage. You see footprints in the mud heading towards the passage, but none coming out.
That's not ominous.
That's not a problem. It's not a problem. A cold rain begins to fall, the wind whipping it sideways and flattening the grass and clover in waves. You think you see a distant light somewhere in the dark of the passage, and it suddenly seems terribly inviting. Determined, you take a breath and patter downwards into the darkness. As you descend, the passage widens into a room lit with faint flickering torches. You are standing in a storeroom, full of sacks and boxes and the faint smell of rot. Yet it seems not nearly as so old as the castle above. A heavy wooden door set with gleaming brass bolts and inlays leads off to your left, and at the end of the room another passage continues downward. Would you like to search the storeroom, examine the door, or continue down?
Search that storeroom.
I think
What do you
searching
think,
the
Jeff?
storeroom. I think searching the storeroom is a good first thing. Try and loot some stuff.
Search the storeroom is page 24. You find several things best left behind. Bread rolls mouldering in strange colours, scraps of hide, though from what animal you cannot fathom, and a single cracked skull. But in the corner of a dusty box you come across, and can add to your inventory, Jeff, a length of rope and a small bottle of sweet wine.
Andy.
You carefully stow them away in your pockets, and can then choose to turn to the heavy door or continue downward.
Heavy door might be something behind there.
Sounds good to me.
As you look closer, you see the brass pattern of the door are vines and ornaments that intertwine upward from the central insignia that you do not recognize. Topped with a crown and surrounded by rich fruit and meat, you see no keyhole. Do you wish to push on the door, or return to the storeroom and continue on downward?
keyhole?
Me, strong warrior. We say we don't see a keyhole.
You don't see
Oh.
a keyhole.
Sorry,
Me strong,
misheard you.
me strong warrior. Me push on door. I think. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
The door swings inward with ease that doesn't seem to match its weight, and you hear a distant whir and click as a mechanism in the doorframe seems to activate. You instinctively pull back as a small wooden bolt shoots downward from a gap in the ceiling above. Jeff, what is the group's dexterity?
Say the group's dexterity. Our dexterity is 2.
The bolt grazes the side of your arm and you take 2 points of damage.
Ah, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You gingerly step through the doorway with rather more care, and after a few steps see a grand, bright staircase that curves away upwards. The stairs are carpeted and seem lit as if from torchlight or a great chandelier above that you cannot see. On hearing nothing further, you begin to slowly climb the stairs. The stairs climb and climb until you think you must be above ground level now. As you climb, a few doors lead off to your left and right, but all are locked fast and immovable. Just when you think the staircase might be endless, it opens into a great hall. There is a long table lined with benches and high-backed chairs of plush red velvet at the far end. The table is laden with food of all kinds, venison steaks and suckling pigs on beds of green and butter, great pies and cakes and fishes and fruits, fresh eels and cheeses, bread pudding and jellies and tarts. The food steams as if brought fresh from the kitchens, and new candles flicker in silver candlesticks, but the benches lie still and empty. Tapestries hang from the walls, and on the furthest wall you see above the chair is a portrait of a lordly man fresh from a hunt. He is smiling benevolently from a magnificent horse, the bloody corpse of a prized deer at his feet. The room is quiet and still and quite empty of people. You see no doors leading from the room. Do you approach the table, or descend back down the stairs to the storeroom and continue on downwards? This is not the treasure you seek.
I think we should head back downwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know what's up here. It's a banqueting hall up here, so I think we should head back downwards. I'm a little curious as to why there's so much fresh food when there's nobody here to eat it. So let's go downwards.
Yeah, that seems a little weird.
You continue down the steps that led from the storeroom, noticing rubble here and there that must have once been doorways, now collapsed and impassable. The main stairway is mostly clear, but becomes darker and narrower as you go on. You find yourself feeling your way down the passage toward a distant light below. Suddenly your foot hits the next step and finds a studded metal that presses down with your weight.
Oh.
Crap.
You pause, foot still on the strange step. Nothing seems to have happened. Yet. Do you lift your foot but wait before descending, continue walking as normal, or run down the rest of the stairs?
Root for it?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Let's run for it.
Running down the steps, you hear a heavy thud from below and realise too late you're running towards the source of the noise. You emerge into a room lined with now open cages and a huge beast there, waiting, taking up the whole centre of the room. The beast slashes and bites at you, and you take 2 points of damage, scrambling backwards into the stairwell. The beast snaps at you.
Fight it? I want to fight it.
The beast snaps at you but cannot reach you. You can see a door on the far side of the room, leading further into the dungeon. Do you decide to fight the beast, or focus on getting to the door on the other side of the room?
Fight. 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 Fight.
If your strength is 5 or above...
Yes. Yes, it is.
Drawing your weapon and holding it ready, you charge into the room and cleave effortlessly through the beast's skull before it has a chance to reach you.
Yay!
With a burbling cry, the beast falls to the floor with a great crash and lies unmoving in a widening pool of blood. You're all too aware of the noise that you've made echoing through the dungeon below, but notice the other 3 cages. Their doors open. Do you move quickly to the next room, or examine the cages?
Examine the cages.
Okay. Yep.
The cages recede into the darkness, and you realise to search them fully you'll have to go inside. Do you wish to move on to the next room, or enter the cage with a pile of bones, or enter the cage that appears to be empty, or enter the cage where you can see a faint glow in the far corner?
Let's go to the next
No.
room because if there's
Yeah.
bones lying around.
No, my question there is we enter the cage and the cage door closes and then that's it.
I know, right?
So yeah, next room. Next room.
This room is lit by wall-mounted torches burning with a strangely steady flame. You realise you could easily take a torch from one of the brackets and take it with you. However, to fight any monster in the future, you would have to drop the torch and let it go out.
I mean, being able to see is normally a good idea.
You can either
Anyway.
choose to take a torch from the wall and carry it with you as you continue, add a torch to your pockets, but you must remove it if at any point you draw a weapon to fight a monster, or leave the torches here.
I'm happy to take a torch just for seeing purposes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll take it.
add a torch to your pockets, but you must drop it if you ever draw your weapon again.
Shame we can't just use the torch as a weapon. Pretty sure if you start swinging a flaming bat at something, it's gonna probably back off pretty quick.
In either
Yeah, no.
case, you notice two strange doors on either side of the long room and a staircase that continues downwards at the far end of the room. Would you like to open the blackened wooden door to your left, open the ornate gold door to your left, open the round metal door on your right, open the tall plain door on your right, or ignore all of the doors and go down the staircase?
That's a lot of doors.
That is a lot of doors.
Oh, we just start from the top.
Probably a good idea.
So the
So,
blackened
where-
wood.
If that's the first one, then yep.
The blackened wooden door creaks as you open it, and leads into a room with a single torch illuminating it. The room seems more a natural cave hewn out from the stone, with rough walls coated in algae and moss rather than stonework or bricks. You hear the rushing water, and as you continue in, your eyes adjust. You see a little wooden boat tied up in the side of a steep, dangerous-looking river that rushes downwards and into the darkness below. The boat looks well enough made and has two small oars tucked away inside it. As you approach, you notice a brown paper package on the bottom of the boat. It looks as if it's been
Kind of with string.
It looks as if it's been there for a very long time. You unwrap the package and find things to add to your pocket, Jeff. 10 gold pieces,
Yep.
a length of rope,
Yep.
and a warm cloak that would have been in fashion some 100 years ago. As you lift the old cloak, a scrap of paper flutters down. Holding it up in the torchlight, you read the scrawled message in fading ink. Carmen, my dear, if you are reading this, the plan has worked and you have finally escaped that cruel lord of the hall. We shall be reunited again in a matter of hours if you follow my instructions closely. This boat is woven through with enchantment and shall weather this little steep current without faltering. When you reach the lower pool, row quickly ahead and do not stop to look back or search around for treasure, no matter what you see beneath the waters. It shall be far more danger than it is worth. Follow the channel out to the sea, and there I shall find you, and we shall be away. The bottom of the boat and the package are covered in dust, and though you see there are runes running around the edge of the boat, they are greatly faded, as if many years have passed. You wonder what happened to Carmen. Would you like to leave this room and try a different door, or see what happens if you get in the boat and go down the river?
I feel like if we get in the boat, we're gonna have a hard time getting back.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm kind of curious.
I am too. Get in the boat?
Get in a boat.
Get in the boat.
I get the feeling that there's no like right path in this dungeon. It's just like no whatever way we decide to go. So yeah, let's get in the boat.
Stepping into the boat and untying the short rope, you push off the side of the dark pool with an oar and out into the rushing water. Immediately the boat is swept downward, catching and spinning on boulders. The enchantment seems to hold, and the boat suffers no damage, though once or twice you are almost thrown out of the boat and find yourself clinging onto the sides to stay on board. The light is very faint now, but the darkness up ahead, you think you hear the water swelling to a roar as if falling from a great height. You faintly make out some part of the cavern that seems to have fallen in, diverting your boat from the steep underground river that continues bouncing downwards on the right towards a sudden drop where instead the river cascades over a sheer edge. If your strength or dexterity is 4 or above,
Strength is, yeah.
turn to page 46. You reach out and grab onto one of the rocks that juts out from the black water just as the little boat crashes over the edge of a great waterfall and plummets down into the darkness below. You manage to cling onto the rock and haul yourself up onto a ledge. The torch you took from the room above has stayed lit and strangely still, as if the winds of this world did not affect it. Even as your boat plunges down the river, and it was sprayed and splattered by the dark, cold waters, it illuminates the river strangely evenly, and you can make out a series of stones that make steep, narrow, natural steps to the side of the waterfall. You pick your way carefully downwards, managing to cling on with one hand as you clutch the torch in the other, lighting the way down. You make it down to the bottom of the falls and notice something behind the sheet of water and a little rocky way that you can walk to reach it. The torch stays alight, and the same as ever as you plunge through the edge of the falling water and find gleaming in the torchlight a small pile of treasure someone thought to hide away. You put in your pockets 100 gold pieces.
Nice.
Yep.
And a jewelled crown wrapped in white cloth.
The fact that it's wrapped is probably not a good sign. We should keep this wrapped.
And carefully make your way back out to the bottom of the waterfall, and then through a small opening into the next cave.
Onwards.
Far, far above you, an opening ringed with greenery lets in a shaft of daylight that casts a dim light through the wide cavern. Dust swirls in the air, and though an underground river rushes off somewhere to your left, the cave itself is cold and still. As you step forward, a small rock bounces off the toe of your boot and plops downward into what you now see is a dark pool of water that takes up most of the cave. Peering downwards, you think you see something glistening deep, deep below, and a tunnel leading away beneath the water. The water is very clear, and it's hard to tell how far down the pool goes, but you think diving for long enough to explore would take some strength. At the far end, you see a small tunnel and hear the faint sound of wind blowing through and a hint of fresh air. If you are carrying a torch, you can toss it out over the water to try and get a quick, clearer glimpse of what lies beneath the surface. If you want to.
I'm thinking we should follow that smell of fresh air.
I think
And
so,
then
yeah.
if we have a chance to come back, then we try diving.
I think that's about right, yeah.
Okay, here are the other options. You can leave your heavy gold armour and cloak at the water's edge and dive to explore the pool. Keep your armour on and pockets full of gold and dive to explore the pool. Or skirt around the pool and make your way down the tunnel. You are ready to escape this place.
Let's go down the tunnel, see where that leads us.
Yeah.
Stooping and crawling through the tunnel, you follow a trickle of water that runs through it. The air begins to feel warmer and fresher on your lungs. After a short while, you emerge into bright daylight on what you recognise as a rocky beach some miles from the archway that you first came in. Whether you are weighed down with treasures or horribly empty-handed, hearty and hale or bruised and bloody, stumbling out with less limbs or no inclination to go adventuring again, you have emerged from the dungeon alive. Unsure of whether you have spent hours or many days below the surface, you stumble exhausted to a nearby town and find food, shelter and rest for a few days before continuing on to the city to survey what you have brought back with you and whether you found what you were looking for. If you have a jewelled crown,
We do.
it can be sold for 40 gold pieces, or donated to a historical society where you discover it to be one of the last relics of the high princes who ruled the Moors in the Lost Age.
Huh. That would definitely restore our honor.
Oh yeah, definitely.
How many gold pieces do you have?
110.
You are able to buy yourself a modest house and a fine suit of armour to travel the world for some time, though there are many hardships. The treasure you found in the dungeon sees you well through many years.
We didn't do too bad.
Yeah, not bad for a first go.
However, you did not find the treasure that Aeneas was searching for.
Oh, yeah? I don't know. I mean, crown seems legit to me, especially... I mean, the aim was to restore her family's honor or whatever, right? So, like, she found a crown, and she gives it to the museum.
Yeah,
and
but
then turns out...
it has a page that says there's, depending on who you were playing, there were, like, specific things that you could come out with, and well, to be fair, if you played as Locke, you were fine.
Yeah.
Also, actually, if you'd played as Darley Mill, you would have got the good ending for that, but...
Oh, yeah, because I suppose she would have had enough gold to pay off her debts, huh?
So let's go through quickly, because there is a page at the end here that is Achievement Bingo.
Cool.
So let's see. You didn't get the achievement, you died.
Yay.
You didn't get the achievement, Fish in a Barrel. You did get the achievement, Cold Killer. You slayed a dungeon creature.
Yeah.
You did get the achievement, Warp Zone. You went down the river. You didn't get the achievement, What's the Worst That Could Happen. You didn't get the achievement, Hoarder. You didn't get the achievement, OP. You didn't get Prisoner. You didn't get Activist. You didn't get Ancient Power. You didn't get Diver. You didn't get Not a Scratch. You didn't get Gathered for the Feast. Or Repatriator, or Monster Boyfriend.
Wait, what?
That's an achievement. You didn't get Dark Path, Speedy, Bruised and Battered. You didn't get Cosplay. You didn't get Charismatic, Lend a Hand, Monster Friend, Smart, but you did get I'm a Survivor, which was to survive the dungeon. So you got 3 of the achievements.
Not bad, not bad.
Would you like to give it another go?
Yeah, let's go again. Let's go with somebody else this time.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna let Jeff do it, because I'm gonna get back to work on some of the stuff I'm gonna... like, on work.
Okay.
But I had a lot of fun. That was cool, and if you do it again, I'm all up for it again. And hell, maybe I'll take a look and see if I can find some. I know I had one that was like a vampire-based one, but I can't remember if I donated it or not. Let me see if I can find it, and if I can, maybe we can do a vampire one sometime.
We'll see.
Alright, cool. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Right. In that case, I'm gonna. Now the thing is, if we go with Locke, we're just gonna go the same route again and get his good ending because that's his good. You just said that's his good ending. So we're not gonna do that. I'd like to try with Anir again actually and see if we can get that good.
See if you can get Anir's good ending.
Yeah.
I will also point out the reason that Darley Mill had the good ending that he would have had if you had done that is that he has the least health and absolutely terrible stats. Darley Mill, the singer, has health of 6, strength of 1, dexterity of 4, charisma of 5, and intelligence of 1. So literally his good ending is to get out alive.
And what was Locke's good ending? You say that was doing what we did was a good ending for Locke.
Locke's good ending was to get out with more than 100 gold pieces.
Ah, okay. Okay. Well, let's go again with Anir. Anir is tired of the retired adventurer life, and he wants to go back into the dungeon.
Time rewinds, and Anir finds himself once more at the entrance, thinking what a good life it would be if he got 100 gold or so and bought a house. But you find yourself at the entrance. You descend. The passage widens into a room lit with faint flickering torches. This is a storeroom. There is a heavy wooden door set with gleaming brass bolts and inlays that leads off to your left, and at the end of the room, another passageway continues downwards. Would you like to search the storeroom, examine the heavy door, or continue downward?
Search the storeroom again, because I got some good bits, if I remember rightly.
You find a length of rope and a bottle of sweet wine that you store in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to look at the door or continue downward?
I'm going to continue downward.
You continue downwards. Suddenly your foot hits the next step and finds a studded metal plate that presses down with your weight. You pause, foot still on the strange step. Nothing seems to have happened yet. Would you like to lift your foot but wait here? Continue walking as normal, or run down the rest of the stairs?
I think lift my foot, but hang on a minute, just in case something goes ahead of me.
As you step off the pressure plate, you hear something heavy thud somewhere far below. You wait, breath held on the stair above, as something thumps around for a long time before falling silent. Would you like to continue down, treading again on the pressure plate, or continue down, carefully stepping over the pressure plate to avoid it?
Carefully stepping over the plate, I think, is the order of the day.
As you continue downward, you hear a thumping and scraping coming from the door below, and rounding a corner, see a sliver of light and glimpse a stone room lined with cages. The bars have been raised, leaving the doors open, and a huge beast paces the room. You can see a door on the far side of the room, leading further into the dungeon. Do you decide to fight the beast, or focus only on getting to the other side of the room?
Fighting the beast seemed to work very well last time, so I'm going to fight the beast again.
Your strength is 5 or above, so you draw your weapon, and holding it ready, you charge into the room and cleave effortlessly through the skull of the beast before it has a chance to reach you. Turn to page 15. With a burbling cry, the beast falls on the floor with a great crash and lies unmoving in a widening pool of blood. You're all too aware of the noise that you've made, echoing through the dungeon below, but notice the 3 other cages, their door open. Would you like to move quickly to the next room, or examine the cages?
Let's examine the cages. We did that last time. Let's examine the cages.
You examined the cages, but didn't go any further into them, because you realise that they recede into the darkness, and to search them fully you will have to go inside. Would you like to enter the cage with the pile of bones, enter the cage that appears to be empty, or enter the cage that you can see a faint glow in the far corner?
Enter the cage with a pile of bones, please.
You search through the pile of mostly human bones, suspecting one larger set belonging to another beast, once caged here, now long perished. Among the rags you find some gold pieces in the remains of pockets and pouches of ex-adventurers that once passed through here. The beast has begun to smell, and you suddenly wonder whether the blood leaking through the cracks in the floor is dripping out somewhere below. You put 25 gold pieces away in your pocket and hurry back out of the door to the next room.
Okay.
This room is well lit with wall-mounted torches burning in a strange steady fire. You realise you can take one. Would you like to take a torch?
I'd like to... Yes.
You take a torch. You will need to drop it if you draw your weapon to fight another monster. You notice 2 strange doors on either side of the long room and a staircase that continues downward at the far end. Would you like to go through the blackened wooden door on your left, the ornate gold door on your left, the round metal door on your right, or the tall plain door on your right, or continue past the doors and go down the staircase?
Was there an ornate gold door on the right? Was that one of them?
Ornate gold door is on your left.
Which one's the one? Which one is that? The second one after the black?
Yes, that is the second door.
Okay, we'll go for that one then. See what that one was like.
The golden door swings easily open to reveal a room decked out in fine cloth. Fine cloths line the walls. On the dusty carpet sits 2 chests of dark wood, a plush armchair, a bookcase with a mess of books spilled out onto the floor below, and a bed with high posts, dusty drapes, and a figure sitting upon it. The figure has long tousled hair, a loose shirt, and a fine-boned face, and looks quite hopeless and dejected until lifting their head at the sound of your footfalls.
Hi.
Oh, traveller, have you come to this place to finally free me of my bonds, or do you stumble upon it? It is no matter, here is my tale. The Lord of the Hall set his sorcerers upon me and bound me with a spell to this room, never to age and never to leave. For I am Mihai, the prince and rightful ruler of these lands, or was once. He locked me away long ago so he could preside here above, unquestioned. I see no days or nights here in this room, and have idled for perhaps 100 years or more. You have only to help me break my spell, and I reward you with all of the riches of my kingdom. As the prince speaks, his voice lilts up and down as if reciting a poem, and you have the sense that he has said this piece many times before, waiting here alone in this quiet room. Do you ask the prince what you must do to break the spell, or feel uneasy, weary that what a bargain may entail, and head back towards the door?
I'm going to ask the prince what it may entail.
When you ask the prince what must be done to break the spell, he hangs his head. The truth is, the spell is woven of an old and terrible magic that can only be undone the way it was made, with flesh and blood. An offering of flesh must be willingly made by one unbound by any spells. I need not to take much, perhaps a finger. You can see now why travellers before you have refused to help. But I promise you, shall be rewarded, if only I am to be free of this wretched place. You see his eyes gleam as he speaks this final part, shining perhaps with hope. Perhaps something else. What is your charisma, Jeff?
3.
So, you can either allow the prince to cut off your finger, or retreat towards the door.
What's this one? This one's about lost. And his motivation is about lost honor, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him cut off a finger. Why not? Yeah, let's see where that goes.
You set your mind to the prince's terrible plight, and the reward that may follow, and avert your eyes as he takes a small knife to the last finger of your non-dominant hand. You take 3 damage as he slices through the flesh and bone above the knuckle. Although he ties it quickly with a scrap of cloth. You look up and see the prince is now smiling a too wide smile, the gleam in his eyes now crazed and hungry.
Oh, okay.
What is your dexterity?
2.
Oh dear. Before you are able to act, the prince pinches your finger between his teeth, tearing the flesh from bone and swallowing hard. He makes for the open doorway and laughs with relief as he crosses through the threshold unharmed. He bows before you, eyes manic and dancing from the other side of the doorway. "Enjoy your riches," he calls behind him, as he makes for the staircase down. When you start after him, you find you cannot pass through the doorway, as if a sheet of sheer stone lays ahead of you. You search every inch of the invisible barrier, but to no avail, and in each drawer and chest in the room, each space under the mattress and carpet, and find no crack or corner or hint of any way out, only chests full of pieces of gold and gems and jewellery. Many hours pass, and you find you have no need of food or sleep. Eventually you pick up one of the books from the floor and sprawl out on the bed and begin to read, your hair tousled. Giving up all hope of escape, your journey ends here.
Oh, that could have gone better.
Yes, I fear it could have.
Reload last save point.
Where would you like to be the last save point? The room of doors?
The room of doors, yeah.
Would you like to open the blackened wooden door on your left, the ornate gold door on your left, the round metal door on your right, or the tall plain door on your right, or the staircase ahead of you?
Let's go staircase ahead of me. I don't like these doors anymore.
The staircase downwards is no longer neatly built stones, but rough and jagged as if hewn from the rocks. This is a choose-your-own-adventure book, so you can sort of rewind time. You can take off that 3 health that you lost, by the way.
I've already added that back on, yeah.
Cool. The stairway down is no longer neatly built stones, but rough and jagged as if hewn from the rocks. You step carefully, descending for what seems like a long time. Once or twice you find networks of rooms which upon searching you find completely empty, as if already plundered. All are covered by a thick coating of dust, their only contents now broken shackles bolted to the walls, and a long rotted chair. Finding nothing of interest and certainly no treasures, you go on down the central passage, eventually reaching a point where 2 rough-hewn corridors branch off to your left and right. Down the left corridor you hear the chime and clink, as if of bells. To the right you think you can make out the sound of muffled sobbing. Ahead the main passage continues down. Would you like to go left, right, or straight on?
Let's go right. Muffled sobbing, let's go right.
Right to the muffled sobbing. The rough, dark passageway comes to an abrupt stop. Curled in the corner, you think you can make out a child crying. If you are carrying a torch or have an intelligence of 5 or above,
I have a torch.
you look more closely. For a second, you think you see a slight ripple in what you assumed were the child's hunched legs. When you bend down to get a better look at their face, you sense something a little off. Almost as if their eyes are in slightly the wrong place, as if pasted on slightly askew. One of the sobs now, you are listening closely, has a strange edge of a gurgle to it. When you see another ripple along their arm, you step back, horror creeping into your mind. Something about their movements reminds you sickeningly of a snake poised to strike. Though you are not sure what you are looking at, one thing is certain. This is definitely not a child. Would you like to suppress your dread and draw your weapon, determined to fight the horror, or return swiftly to the main passage and continue downward?
Let's return swiftly to the main passage and continue downwards.
At the bottom of the passageway, the ground levels out into a rough-hewn ledge, lit by the same strange, steady light of the torches you saw above. You may take a torch if you are not already carrying one.
I am.
You see 2 doors ahead of you with patterns and studs of dark, shining metal. At the centre of the door on the left is a carving of a skull of some kind of antelope, but with horns you have never seen before. At the centre of the door on the right is carved a great flat skull, ridged and knobbled, with rows of tiny teeth that is unfamiliar to you. Perhaps a kind of salamander? Would you like to go through the great horned door or the ridged skull door?
Go through the ridged skull door, please.
Ridged skull door. Behind the door, the passage widens into a hallway lit well by torches. A little way along, a great door carved in strange, scrawled runes leads off to the right-hand side. As you approach, 3 skeletons carved into the door begin to shift and move slightly in the wood itself, then open their mouths and begin to chatter excitedly in voices that sound like the creaking of a great ship. Welcome, traveller. I was going to say that. So you have come all the way to this place to challenge us, the Riddlers 3. Only one of us only lies, the other only tells the truth, the third sort of alternates in a pattern that you must determine. You can ask 6 questions.
Oh boy.
The carved skeletons interrupt and talk over each other, trying to explain something about a bag of seeds and turtle soup. You have to listen carefully to get the gist of what they are talking about at all, which seems to be a rather confusing puzzle. What is your intelligence, Jeff?
4. Yeah, 4.
You've read of this puzzle before and completed it long ago. You confidently tell the door that though the hen can't be in the boat at the same time as the seed, it must only tell the truth because of its own grandmother. On hearing the solution, the door stops squabbling, a little disappointed, and grudgingly swings open. You enter a large circular room lit by shafts of sunlight that fall from windows that look out of a strange, shifting landscape. Apart from the fact that you are far below ground, there is something else wrong with the view. And if you think about it too much, you try to describe what is there, you begin to get a headache. In the centre of the room is a tall dais, lit by another strange beam of bright light with no natural source. There is an ornate box sitting atop it, and an extremely bored-looking woman sitting underneath it, looking up at you. Don't tell me, she says, getting to her feet and drawing a huge and dangerous-looking weapon. You're here for the ancient treasure that was stolen from the dynasty of princes by the Lord of the Hall. She then mutters, I bet the Lord died ages ago. I don't even see why the spell still binds me here. You inform her that you have not heard of this particular treasure, but she implies that she still has to hack you to pieces if you want to take the box. If you have the small glass key, you can show it to the monster. You don't have a small glass key, do you?
No, I don't. No.
If you have no key but a small bottle of sweet wine, or charisma of 4 or above, you can either give the creature the wine or invent a story about how you would need the treasure to save an orphanage, or you can attempt to fight the monster, or you can leave the room.
So having the sweet wine allows me to lie to the monster, attempt to lie to the monster. Is that correct?
Or you give the wine to the monster.
I'll give the wine to the monster. That goes away.
The monster considers for a moment. Though you've not been terribly persuasive, she seems to have had little company or excitement for a few hundred years. She steps aside and pointedly tells you that, though a magical oath binds her to protect the treasure, if she didn't notice you taking it, there would be nothing she could do. She wonders idly aloud whether someone taking the box would free her of guarding it. But as you take it down from the dais, nothing happens, and she lets out a deep sigh, slumping back to the floor again.
Oh.
Inside the box, you find a milky, opalescent hunk of rock.
Milky. We're not giving points for spelling, are we?
No, I think that's fine.
Good. I misspelled hunk for some reason. Okay.
And a thin, dark ring shining with runes.
With runes. Okay.
Which you stow in your pockets. Yes, a milky hunk, relaxed view. You think it is a strangely empty box to have magically guarded for hundreds of years, and wonder what the ring does, and whether this lord was ever able to use it. Close the door after you, won't you? The monster calls as you step back out of the room. Or else I'll never hear the end of it from the door. You close the still chattering door behind you and descend down a set of steps into a wide cavern below. Far, far above you, an opening ringed with greenery lets in a shaft of daylight that casts a dim light over the wide cavern. Dust swirls in the air and through an underground river, and though an underground river rushes somewhere off to your left, the cave itself is still cold and still. As you step forward, small rocks bounce off the toes of your boots and plop down into what you see as a dark pool of water that takes up most of this cave. Peering downwards, you think you see something glittering deep, deep below, and a tunnel leading away beneath the water. The water is very clear, and it's hard to tell how far down the pool goes, but you think that diving for long enough to explore would take some strength. At the far end, you see a small tunnel and hear the faint sound of wind blowing through, and a hint of fresh air. If you are carrying a torch, you can toss it into the water and get a clear glimpse of what lies beneath the surface. No, I didn't hear what you just said.
Sorry, let's toss the torch in. This is because
Toss the torch in.
last one.
This is the
This is
same
where we got
place. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the exit basically, isn't it? More or less.
Thinking you will have little use of it in the water anyway, you throw the strange torch in a high arc across the pool. It barely flickers as it flies through the air, and the flame seems to dance while giving out a steady, unwavering light. At first you see very little but the cave roof. Then the torch plunges into the water and remains illuminated, the flame seeming to grow green and pale, still burning as it sinks into the water. You see a dark box half hidden under the silt deep at the bottom of the pool, and a tunnel extending away beneath the water to another cavern. At the bottom of the pool you see the cave fish skeleton, not rotted away with age, but eaten and torn into recently by sharp teeth, discarding with bits of the white bloated flesh still attached.
Don't like that very much.
You back against the wall of the cave a little and see movement, a gaunt, finned creature, a little larger than a person, swimming down to the torch. They move their head from side to side, squinting at the bright light, then cautiously grabbing the handle and taking the torch with them back into the tunnel until the light disappears. In the torchlight you saw their pale eyes swivel, the spines on their hands and the points of their teeth, and wonder whether more of these creatures occupy the cavern. If you would like to, you can leave your heavy gold armour and cloak at the water's edge and dive in to explore the pool, or you can keep your armour on and dive into the pool, or you can skirt around the pool and make your way down the tunnel.
I'm going to try diving in with my armor on because I'm quite strong. So I'm going to attempt to go in with my armor.
You try to swim on, but slowly realise you may be sinking.
Okay.
Your head feels very light now and desperately need to breathe. Dazed, you look around in the darkness, but the dim light now seems the same in all directions and you struggle to see which way leads to the surface. Below you know what has happened. Before you know what has happened, you've taken an involuntary breath and you feel cold water rush into your lungs. As the world seems to fade around you, your final thought is how close you came to escaping this place. Before the darkness overcomes you, your journey ends here.
Oh, I thought they would have given you a strength check for that, at least. Okay,
Would you like to take your armour off and swim in the water?
let's try armor off and swim in the water, yep.
The light grows slowly dimmer as you descend further into the pool, and you find it much deeper than it appeared from above. You still have less time than you thought to explore the bottom, and realise that you must choose between exploring the bottom of this pool or venturing further into the underwater tunnel. If you have the smooth black stone in your pocket...
Nope.
Otherwise, you can investigate the bottom of the pool, where you thought you saw something glittering, or continue to the underwater tunnel.
Let's go for the glittering part, I think.
You make out a dark box half hidden under the silt deep at the bottom of the pool, with a rusted lock that glints in the fading light from above. Kicking the lock, the box springs open, revealing 40 gold pieces and an ancient sword, which you sheathe and stow away before kicking off from the bottom and heading towards the surface. Is your strength 3 or above?
Yes.
You reach the surface just as your head begins to spin from the lack of air and emerge unharmed, pulling yourself up onto dry land. It takes you some time to recover, and the cold of the water seems to have taken root in your bones. Something about this place makes you uneasy, and after sitting for a while, you think you hear bubbles coming up from deep below. Feeling a sudden urgency to move and wondering how long you've been down here, hours, days, you scramble up, collecting your things and making your way around the pool to the tunnel, wanting to very much see the sky again. Stooping and crawling through the tunnel, you follow the trickle of water that runs through it. The air begins to feel warmer and fresher in your lungs, and after a short while you emerge into the bright daylight on what you recognise as a rocky beach some miles from the archway where you first came in. Whether you are weighed down with treasure or horribly empty-handed, hearty in hale, or bruised and bloody, stumbling out with less limbs and no inclination to go adventuring again, you have emerged from the dungeon alive. Unsure of whether you have spent hours or many days down below the surface, you stumble exhausted to a nearby town and find food and shelter and rest for a few days before continuing on to a city to explore what you have brought back with you and whether you have found what you were looking for. You didn't have the jeweled crown. You
Not this time, no.
didn't have the silver candlestick.
No.
Small glittering topaz.
No.
You got the milky opalescent hunk of rock.
Yes.
That you can sell for 25 gold.
Okay. Any other options or just sell?
Just sell.
Okay.
A large rough gemstone the colour of blood.
No.
How many gold pieces do you have this run?
90.
You are able to buy yourself a modest house and a fine suit of armour and travel the world for some time. Though there are times of hardship, the treasures you found in the dungeon see you well for many years. And because you emerged with the ancient sword.
Yay.
That is the treasure that Anir is looking for.
Oh, great. Yay.
Your prowess in combat is greater than ever before. Your blows always strike true and you win back your reputation and more. Though perhaps return a little more bloodthirsty than your peers remember.
Hey.
You also managed to find the item that Xenophon is looking for, which is the dark ring shining with runes. Which you find within it a great arcane power that you can study for many years. Whether you pursue your studies alone or with others, eventually you harness the power of the ring, and a great many of the world's mysteries become clear to you, if you are Xenophon.
Yeah. Me warrior, me no do research.
So that time, you got the What's the Worst That Could Happen achievement, which is give a monster some wine. You got the Prisoner achievement, which was to get trapped in the dungeon forever. I mean, I guess you probably get the Activist achievement, which is to free a dungeon creature for freeing the prince.
Okay, yeah.
You got
Well, we scrapped that save game. We scrapped that save, so probably not.
You got the Ancient Power achievement. Find a unique treasure that affects your character's ending. You got the Diver achievement, which was to explore underwater.
Ooh.
Did you take any damage?
No, not that run. We did for the prince, but then we got again. We reloaded a save and that came back.
You got the Not a Scratch achievement for making it out with full HP.
Yay!
And you, I mean, technically in the scrapped playthrough, you got the Lend a Hand achievement, which is to lose a digit or a limb.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you're collecting up the achievements at the very least.
Not bad.
I think that's a good place to call the stop to the stream, though.
I think that is, yeah, that's a good one, yeah.
Little bit of an interesting stream tonight. I'd say unexpected, but we've been planning it for about a week. But a little bit of a fun stream, a little bit of something different. A good book. Go buy book if you like book. I would recommend it. It's a good looking book. It's not too expensive either, which is always nice, and it's available on Kindle as well. I don't really know how well Kindles handle choose your own adventure books. But yeah, it is called Into the Dungeon by Harry Connor. and you can find it wherever books are sold. Probably. And you can go on many, many adventures with it.
If we're doing this again, I got a similar book recently, a similar choose your own adventure book. One moment, from a Kickstarter.
Okay.
And it's called Alba, ALBA.
I mean, might have to give it a look, because I know that this is the sort of thing that we can do quite easily and quickly. Do sort of just a choose your own adventure stream. And there's a couple of people that like the books. You know, there's yourself and obviously Jennifer, who was in earlier, and Queen quite likes your choose your own adventure style books. So, you know, we might have to do this sort of thing again at some point. In the meantime, I guess all that's left for me to say now is thank you guys in the chat so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please do hit that follow button. It's a great way for you guys to know when we go live, a completely free way that you can support us on the channel. I don't have quiz show related credits yet. Maybe I should look into that. What we do have coming up are the following streams. Tomorrow night with the Waterdeep Dragon Heist crew, we are going to be picking up the pieces after what happened last time.
When you say picking up the pieces, is this a figurative or a literal statement?
It's figuratively that, I mean, they're not literally going to be picking up somebody's pieces. Hopefully not going to be picking up somebody's pieces in a literal statement. So I'm just trying to work out what's happened to my face cam on this screen, because it appears to not be here right now. After Gimbal died, the group have to go on their own way and work out what happens next. And whether Lord Castellanta will allow them to do so peacefully, or whether he's going to have his revenge for killing his wife. It's probably that second one, isn't it? On Tuesday night...
It might be the second one, yeah.
On Tuesday night...
What about his children? What about his children? How are they doing?
I mean, they don't know what's happened yet. On Tuesday night, Jeff, you're going to be heading off onto the Sea of Thieves.
I am, yes. We're going to do the next tall tale in the Pirate's Life Tall Tales.
The next tall tale, which is called The Sunken Pearl, where you're going to be finding out what happened to Jack and also where the Black Pearl is. On Thursday, Angel's will be playing some more of the Bioshocks, where it sounds like they've started to find out some of the mystery of what Andrew Ryan's been up to. And on Friday, we're going to be playing the next episode of Space Odysseus, which might very well be the last one. We've found where the last shadow mark is. We have reassembled the sword Aradin. Gunter is worthy of wielding it. It going down. Hold on to your hats, it's going down this Friday. For now, though, I'm going to say we're going to do a raid. We're going to do a raid. we're going to do a raid at Jinjar247, who is doing SnowRunner right now. Go give him some love. We'll see you guys again real soon. Bye, guys.
Bye bye. Bye bye.